Hey guys, so in my last video, a lot of you were asking how I got 3D Google Maps info into Rhino. So I'm going to show you that today. Like and subscribe. Or not, actually, I don't really care. But yeah, enjoy the video. Okay, there's a couple software programs that we need to make this work. The first is Blender, which is a free 3D modeling program that's amazing. The second one is a plugin for Blender called Maps Model Importer. And you can just scroll down this page on GitHub that I'll include in the description. And you can go to the Releases tab here. And you can scroll down to 0.4.1, just right here. We can click download. And I recommend, if you do enjoy this workflow or whatever this gives you, consider donating to the developer of this plugin here. And the third thing that we need is Renderdoc, which is basically a way to read what's happening on your graphics card at any given moment. And so you can click download here. Once you've done that, we can continue. Okay, so once those are all downloaded, we're going to go to Renderdoc. And to start with version 1.17, you have to go to Settings and then go to Enable Process Injection, and it'll say Restart Required. So you can check this, click OK, close this, and then reopen it. And then when you go to File, there should be something that says Inject into Process. So that's what you do. We're click Inject into Process, and what we want to do is basically inject this into Chrome such that we can take a screenshot, a 3D screenshot. But the one difference, the one thing that we need to do beforehand is create a shortcut for Chrome in debug mode. So what we're going to do is we're quickly going to navigate to chrome.exe or wherever we've saved Chrome on our computer. So I can just use this program called Everything to search for it, but you know, the other way is that you just need to go to this PC, local disk C, program files, Google, Chrome, application, and it's chrome.exe. And I'll leave a link in the description for you to copy this, but essentially what we want to do is we want to right-click chrome.exe. We'll do create shortcut, and then it's going to say we can't do it here. Create on the desktop. Yeah, okay. So we have that, and then what we're going to do, we're going to go to properties, and I'm going to paste in the description how we want to change this. But essentially, we're just creating what's called flags, which is disable-gpu-sandbox and gpu-startup-dialog. And so these are basically what we're adding here. And so we're going to click OK. And what's going to happen is this is now going to turn into a slightly different icon. When we now open up Google Chrome, it's going to be completely white because it's frozen it, and it's given us a pin, 22680. And essentially, we want to copy that into Renderdoc. So we're going to, now that we have the inject into process, we're just going to type 22680. We can refresh it. There's Google Chrome GPU. We'll just double click that. And then when we click OK, you'll see that it's now active, and we should have slightly different information available here. So now that we have that, we'll go to Maps, and we can pick our 3D data. I'll do the Hoover Dam, let's say, and I'll just switch into satellite view, and I'm going to press Ctrl and Shift, and then click with the mouse button, and this should put it into 3D. So now the trick to doing this is you're going to go to Renderdoc. I'm going to do it where it says capture after delay here. I'm just going to change this to 1 second. I'm going to click this, and then I'm going to wiggle the screen while it waits for 1 second. So I'm just going to capture after delay, and then just wiggle. It froze for a second there, and that's how you know it kind of worked. So then you have this thumbnail here, and you can actually check if you wanted to see that it's rendering it. And for whatever reason, graphics cards typically render upside down. I forget it's faster for some reason. I don't 100% understand why, but so you can see it all rendering upside down here. So that means it's collected the right information. So we're now going to go to right-click, save, and you actually want to check to see which one it's going through. If you can see here, this is color pass, target plus depth, so we just want to have that clicked, and then we can go to save capture, and we'll call this whatever you want. And that kind of marks the hardest part about this entire process. So now I have a hooverdam.rdc file, and we're going to open up Blender. Once you've opened up Blender, I'm just going to press A to select everything, and I'm going to press the delete button so we don't have anything there. And then we'll go to File, and we're going to want to install this add-on. So to install that add-on we downloaded, we'll go to Edit, Preferences, Add-ons, and then we'll go to Install, and just navigate to wherever you saved it. Here's mine on the desktop, so you can just double-click that, click Install Add-on. I've already done it, so I'm not going to do it again. But just make sure you don't need to unzip it when you download it. Just leave it as a zip file. And then once you have that there, you should be able to go to File, Import, and then there should be this thing that's called Google Maps Capture.rdc. So we'll click .rdc, go to Desktop. Here's the hooverdam.rdc file. Okay, and here we go. So that took about 35 seconds for this to get into Blender for me. But if I press Z and go to Material Preview, we can see that I do in fact have the Hoover Dam now in a 3D modeling program. So that's pretty cool. There's a number of things we could do to clean this up in Blender. I'll save that for another video, but what we will do is we'll just select one face, and then we're going to press A, and that's going to select them all, and you can see it's actually like a tile set. So what we're just going to do is we're just going to quickly join this, which will help us in Rhino. So I'm going to press Ctrl J, and now it's all one object, which is really easy to work with. And we're just going to go to File, Export, and then I'll go to FBX, and I'll just save it to my desktop. I'm just going to limit it to the selected objects. And the one thing we want to make sure is that forward is Y forward and up is Z up, because we know that in Rhino, Y is forward and up is Z. And I'll just name this Dam. Okay, so now that it's done saving, I'm just going to take the hooverdam.fbx. I'm going to open it up into Rhino. I'm just going to drag it and drop it in there. I'm going to click Import. This is all fine. And sure. All right, cool. So look at that. We now have the Hoover Dam in Rhino. That's pretty fun. The last thing we need to do is make sure this is the right scale. So if I quickly make a bounding box and then just check the length of this thing, right now it's 63.59 feet. So that's definitely wrong. And that's because it doesn't really, when you collect the 3D data, it doesn't actually care what the scale is of this thing. So we're going to have to do that manually. So I'm just going to find something to measure here, potentially this span between the two sides of the bay. So I'll do measure distance, and I'll do it right to this thing. Distance to here. And you can do whatever you want if you cared actually about this being exact, but that's about 200 feet. So I'm just going to go into here, select it all. I know it's from about around here, so I'm just going to do scale, and to about here. I'm just going to type 200 feet. And this is probably more appropriate now. So if we just create the bounding box again and check the length. Yeah, okay, so that seems like a bit more of a reasonable size to this entire thing. So now that we have this 3D data, you can really do whatever you want with it. This can be used for a project, this can be used for whatever. You can see here there's a hole, and that's simply because I probably didn't see that while I was doing my screenshot, because all this is being rendered onto the graphics card. So if there's no point in it being rendered, or your computer doesn't render it, then you can't take it as a screenshot. All right, everyone, so that was a quick tutorial on how to take 3D screenshots. There's some really interesting things you could do with this, whether it's VFX or architecture or perspectives or ground truthing. Hopefully you found that helpful, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with.